Yeah, I cried reading this book. I can't remember the last time this happened to me, but in the last pages of this book, I was just, tears were coming from my eyes and I couldn't believe it was happening because, again, I don't often cry in books, and yet here I was crying at Stoner by John Williams. Now, it's really hard to talk about this book because, in a way, this is a book where nothing happens, and yet it's about a lot of things. It's the story of this man who is destined to become a farmer. He goes to college to study agriculture, but he reads a poem by Shakespeare and he falls in love with literature, and instead he becomes a lecturer in literature, a literature professor, basically. And he spends his whole life at this university where he studied first as an undergraduate and then as a lecturer, as a professor. Now, his life is in many ways a failure. He's not a particularly amazing teacher. He doesn't have a particularly good marriage. In fact, his marriage is quite terrible. Initially, he has a good relationship with his daughter, but that also sort of dissolves throughout the years. He has a failed love affair. And in a way, like, he has a lot of failings, moral failings as well. But at the same time, he's also highly principled. And he also has this kind of compassion for human nature and understanding of human nature, which I think is very moving. And I think the reason I started crying is because what he realizes at the end of his life is that it doesn't make sense to measure life in terms of whether you're successful or not, or whether it's a success or a failure. Life should be taken as it is, and things should be accepted as they are, rather than sort of measured in a qualitative way. It's an incredibly well-written and moving book. And if you haven't read this, please do yourself a favor and read it.